Welcome, beautiful yogis. So glad you're here. We are coming together at this time to relax body, mind. And it is a special time as it is the time of year when the veil between the dimensions is really thin. So, in our practice today, we will feel our solidity of our physical body in the yoga poses. And in our minds and through our breaths, we will create a quality of lightness of being. And then later in our practice, we'll penetrate through the veil and greet those that have gone beyond it. Sound good? Let's begin. We'll begin in our usual opening pose, lying on our backs, on the lovely bolster, the heart opening shape that I like to call the open book. So snuggle in close to the end of your bolster. Notice that it's raised with blocks so that it creates a little slant, and we lie back on it. Get really comfy with the elbows, forearms resting on those side pillows or blankies that also support your legs. So here we are, getting settled into this comfy yoga pose that both supports and opens us. Now your attention drop inward. Letting yourself feel everything that's here in this moment. The shape of your body. The sensations it's offering you. And how this particular setup is designed to allow your heart space to broaden and your shoulders and arms to fall away. And let's now take an opening breath together. Exhale completely. Through your nose, draw your breath in. It's a really full and generous breath which we hold a moment at the top. And then through the pursed lips, blow the breath away. Nose again breathes in. Big opening through your ribs and your heart, little pause, and blow your breath away. So as you continue and repeat this breath practice, know that with each breath that we shape and follow and tend, we are giving our commitment to be fully present here. The intention to relax deeply, to drop so deeply into the physical body that the stress, the tensions can fall away. Deep nose breath in, little pause, blow the breath away through your pursed lips. Even as you exhale, you might feel your limbs release and relax and fall a little further off the edges. The edges of your bolster, deeper into the support of the ground, your props, your blankie, the support of the space that you're in. most likely in this very space that you are, you have been practicing yoga, meditation, restorative yoga. Which makes the space itself that you are in a sacred space. A sanctuary to let go the outer, to drop into the inner, and to experience ourselves anew on a deeper level. Stay with the breath. Generous nose in, little pause, and blowing it away. So at this time of year, we are changing seasons. The day is getting shorter. Next Sunday, we change the clock. Oh no. And it will be darker earlier. This is how it is. These are the outer circumstances of our lives. And what we have control over is our inner state of being. At this moment, in the shaping of your breath, and so each exhalation and that long release is a letting go of something you might name, or the nameless stress and tensions that collect so deeply in a very subliminal way at times. And so whether you're feeling it very obviously, or whether it is in a deeper layer, tend everything that you're feeling. It's also the time of year when people get together to celebrate, to scare each other, to have candies, get dressed up, all kinds of fun. Halloween in our land is so unique to this country, but it has spread to other lands as well. And it has its roots in many different cultures from times way, way back. Here, now, this body, this DNA carries the past, carries the genes of our parents, our grandparents, those who have come before us that we may not even know. Something of that ancient time lives in us, often in a very deep and subliminal way. To penetrate the thinning veil, it helps to become really, really quiet, which is kind of in contrast to the outer celebrations that we do, and we go to parties and dress up, take our children out. Here, we rest in the breath and this deepening relaxation. As you are ready, just let your exhalations happen through your nose, but try to keep them long. And so as I was looking up information and getting a little background to this time of year, I found a wonderful piece of writing, you could call it a poem, by Alberto Rios, who was born in 1952 and has a dash, which means he's still around. But he writes about November 2nd, Dia de los Muertos. And we could tell that he is probably from Mexico, as this tradition is so deep in him. So as you rest and breathe, let me read a little bit of how he reminisces on it. It's not simply the Day of the Dead, loud and parties. More quietly, it is the day of my dead, the day of your dead. These days, the neon of it all, the big teeth, laughing skulls, the posed calacas, forgive the pronunciation, and Katrinas, and happy dead people doing funny things. It's all in good humor, and sometimes I can't help myself. I laugh out loud too. But I miss my father. My grandmother has been gone almost so long, I can't grab a hold of her voice with my ears anymore. Not easily. My mother-in-law, she's still here, still in things packed in boxes, her laughter on videotapes and in conversations. Our dog died several years ago, and I try to say his name whenever I leave the house. You take care of this house now, I say to him, the way I always have, the way he knows. I grew up with the trips to the cemetery and the pan de muerto, the prayers and the favorite foods, the carne asada, the beer. But that was in the small town where my memory still lives. Today, I'm in the big city, and that small town feels far away. There will be more from Alberto. Tending again your body, your breath, and perhaps the little town where you grew up, and how everything now is different. And so this very themed practice this evening of restorative yoga, we become quiet and we allow memories and reflections to come through. Inviting you to take just 3 more cycles of your breath here. And then we'll complete this open book pose by closing it. Bring your knees back up together. Gently roll over off your setup to one side and make your way up to set up for revolved child's pose. One of your blankies to support your legs and one to support your butt. And we'll begin sitting at the short end of the bolster on the left side. Sitting mermaid style on your left buttock. Get really close to your bolster. Arrange your legs in a way that feels good. And then as you turn towards the bolster, raise your heart and lie forward. Lengthen your front body over your bolster and come to rest with your left ear, making contact. As you settle in, let your breath become very apparent. Let your mind rest in the breath and the feeling of this little rotation, little stretch that is quite palpable here. I continue now with Alberto's reflections. The Day of the Dead. It's really the days of the dead. All Saints' Day, the 1st of November, also called the Dia de los Angelitos. Everybody thinks it's a day. Everybody thinks it's Day of the Dead, but it's not. Not exactly. The first day is for those who have died as saints. And for the small innocents, the criaturas, the tender creatures who have been taken from us all, sometimes without a name. To die a saint deserves its day. To die a child. The following day, the 2nd of November, this is for everybody else who has died. And there are so many. A grandmother, a father, a distant uncle, or a lost cousin. It's hard enough to keep track even within one's own family. But the day belongs to everyone. So many home altars. So many parents gone, so many husbands, so many Aunt Normas, so many Connies and Matildas, countless friends. Still, by the end of the day, we all ask ourselves the same thing. Isn't this all over yet? All these dead coming after, and so close to Halloween, the days all start to blend. The goblins and princesses of the miniature world, not so different from the ways in which we imagine those who are gone. Their memories smaller, their clothes brighter. We want to feed them only candy too. So much candy that our own mouths will get hypnotized by the sweetness. Our own eyes dazzled by the color, our noses by the smells. the first cool breath of fall makes. A fire always burning somewhere out there. We feed our memories, and then, humans that we are, we just want to move quickly away from it all, happy for the richness of everything. If unsettled by the cut pumpkins and the gourds, the howling decorations, the marigolds. If it rains, they stink, those fussy little flowers of the dead. Bread of the dead, day of the dead, it's hard to keep saying the word. The dead. They take over the town like beach vacationers, returning tourists getting into everything. I had my honeymoon here, they say, and they are always full of contagious nostalgia. But it's all right. They go away after a while. They go, and you miss them all over again. The papel picado, the cut blue and red and green paper decorations, the empanadas and the coconut candy, the boxes of galleta and saladitos, which make your tongue white like a ghost's. You miss all of it soon enough. Pictures of people smiling, news stories, all the fiestas, all this exhaustion. The coming night, the sweetbreads, the bone tiredness of too much loud noise, loud color, loud food, mariachis, even just talking. It's all a lot of noise, but it belongs here. The loud is to help us not think, to make us confuse the day and our feelings with happiness. Because, you know, if we do think about our dead, wherever they are, we'll get sad and begin to look across at each other. Yogis, we are ready now to change sides. Do it gently, carefully, mindfully. Use your hands to prop yourself up, rearrange to drop onto your right butt cheek. Bring your props across. And just as we did on the first side, now we're sitting on the right. We lift trunk up and away and fold forward right through the middle to lie on the right ear and let the body settle down. Letting go the noise, dropping into the quietude of your own breathing. The breath now coming deep into your back. Feel it where you haven't felt it yet. Each exhalation, each emptying, allowing you to drop further into an inner quietude. This extraordinary breath that keeps returning, rises to fullness, a kind of blossoming, and then it ebbs away, disappears. And there's a moment at the end of the breath that's a beautiful place to just be. It lets us drop a little bit more deeply into stillness. Play with that as you rest here and breathe, dropping into that moment of no breath at the very end. Are you ready, everyone, to gently come up, setting up for our next pose? Symmetrical pose, child's pose. The bolster can stay. You can sit on your feet if your knees allow, and lie snugly along the center line now, no revolving, just your head perhaps. And as you know, if this is not an appropriate shape for you, on your folded legs and deeply bent knees, please lie on your tummy with your legs extended out and the bolster underneath your belly. So pick the pose that's right for you today. For this part of our practice, I invite you to come into the square breath. That is, adding pauses not only at the end, but also at the top of the breath, which means your inhale, your pause, your exhale, your pause are the same length. And you might do a little count for yourself. 4 is a good place to start. 4 counts in, 4 to hold, 4 out, and 4 to hold again. Let your mind rest in that. So this particular pranayama calls for our attention to stay in rhythm, to stay honest with this breath practice. So give it your 100% attention, best you can. Lovely, everyone. Please come out of this child's pose or crocodile pose. Rearrange your props for a seated forward bend. Create a seat and a support, a little table with your props. It's gauging the distance from your sit bones to your little tabletop that matters in this shape. So you want to be far enough that your spine can be straight, and your tabletop should be high enough that you can get the sense of support as you rest your forehead, perhaps your arms. You're either cross-legged or straddle legs. And so the first thing when we come into a new pose is to get comfortable and begin to tune in to the feelings in your body of this new position. Where do you feel it? Can you allow those places of stretch? Mostly lower back and hips in this one. But perhaps you have a vulnerability in your body that you're feeling now more. Can you let it be okay to be here? Letting go the square breath, which we've already let go, I'm sure, and coming now into long exhalations. Long exhalations that go right into your lower back. For many people, especially the indigenous people, life and death are merely aspects of a common duality and an eternal cycle. I have for you now a Native American poem. The name of the author is unknown, but here it is. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints in the snow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn's rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there. I did not die. It's a great mystery, isn't it? This body, this three-dimensional part of us, has only so many breaths. The yogis say it is known on some level how many breaths we have, and then we're done in this body. That other part of us continues on. And so it is with those who've gone before, across the veil. The part we loved is still somewhere to be seen, as I know you have experienced. I believe we've all experienced that contact in some way with a person that we loved and who left their body. my favorite poem of all, my favorite poet, is the poet Rumi. Rumi says, "Grief can be the garden of compassion if you keep your heart open through everything. Your pain can become your greatest ally in your life's search for love and wisdom." Rumi also says, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." And so a lot of these wisdoms exhort us to not weep and grieve, but we also know it's healthy. It's healthy to feel those feelings. And this is a good time of year to do that. For some of us, loss is recent and our grief is raw. And for others, we've gotten used to it. Some say grief never leaves us. We learn to live with it, and we choose life. We choose to live with joy, with wisdom. So that's what we're doing here, breathing, relaxing our body, resetting the nervous system, to at the same time allow in any reflections or feelings that might arise. Please gently now make your way up out of the seated forward bend. And as we've been doing, invite you to just sit tall. Sit in a lovely upright place, attention inward. Feel your breath. And we'll practice a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. Remember how to do it. Right hand thumb closes the right nostril. Your index and middle can rest at your brow. So the left is open now for breath in. Close that up with a little pressure of your ring finger. And then lift your thumb. Exhale through your right. The right side breathes in. Close it up when you're full, very light pressure. And then lift your left side to open that. Exhale. The left stays open to breathe in. Switching at the top, you can hover a moment at the fullness of your breath and then opposite side, exhale. Pausing a moment. Inhale, same side. Close it up and pause. Opposite side, exhale. Rest on nothing. Inhale, same side. Lightly close it up at the top, pause. Open the right, exhale. Rest on nothing. Same side, breathe in. Pause. Opposite side, exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. And this time, let your hand rest down and breathe out through both. Staying in your tall seat. Breathe in, no pauses. Breathing in through both. And out through both. So that practice was alternate nostril breathing and breathing a square. Powerful way to draw our attention to the inner quietude. Lovely, everyone. Please move into the next shape now, which is going to be legs up the wall or legs over your bolster. So in other words, elevated legs. You've been sitting a little while, we've been bending forward. Lying on your back now is going to feel really lovely. Snuggle your sacrum. Let your legs rest either over your tabletop or into the wall. And then position your arms, palms open. So much sensation now as the back can really relax. Relaxing, and at this time, the feeling of being breathed. No need to shape, just let the breath surprise you. And now the story of the wind phone. Outside the Japanese town of Otsuchi, on a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean, there is a white glass-paneled phone booth with a black rotary phone connected to nothing and nowhere. Ever since the tragic tsunami of 2010, which claimed nearly 20,000 human lives, thousands of grieving people have visited the booth to call their lost loved ones as a way of coping with their loss. The wind phone, as the now famous Otsuchi telephone booth is commonly known, was actually built a year before the 2011 tsunami that ravaged Japan's coast. Otsuchi residents, Mr. Sasaki, had lost his cousin in 2010 and decided to build a phone booth on his hilltop garden from where he could call his dear relative as a way of dealing with grief. He would dial his cousin's phone number on an old, unconnected rotary phone, and his words would be carried on the wind as he spoke. And even though no one would talk back to him, it made Sasaki feel a deeper connection to his cousin. In the aftermath of the 2011 earthquake, Sasaki opened his wind phone booth to the public, allowing members of the community to mourn their losses in the same way he had. Word of this therapeutic way of dealing with the loss of loved ones spread throughout Japan, and thousands of people from outside the area started visiting the wind phone. It's estimated that over 10,000 people visit this place in the 3 years after the natural disaster that shook Japan to its core, with many making the cathartic ritual every year since that time. The telephone is not connected, but people feel like their lost loved ones are there listening on the other end of the line, Sasaki said. I want people to resume their lives as soon as possible by expressing their feelings. Talking into a person who's passed away through a disconnected rotary phone in the middle of nowhere may seem strange to some. But research has shown that such unusual outlets for grief can help people cope with grief and accept their tragic losses. To help users of the booth, Sasaki placed a notebook next to the black phone where people can write messages to their deceased loved ones. The wind phone has become a popular destination among people who've lost loved ones in all kinds of accidents or to suicide, and the need to overcome their grief. In recent years, the booth has even welcomed foreign visitors who learnt about it in the internet. There's even a feature film made on the phone of the wind. The phone has become so famous that if you saw the little video in my email today, you would know that somebody on this side of the Pacific also put up a phone in a forest in the Pacific Northwest. Now there are phones all over the place, often in remote places, as there is the sense that to speak to your relatives, you need to go on a journey, a little journey to find that point of connection, the wind phone. It's so beautiful, yogis. Please complete this pose. Bend your knees. Hug your legs in. Roll on over as we now come onto our backs for supported bridge pose. So the blocks go to the foot end. The pillow blanket goes to the head end, but just above the head. And we're going to lie on the back and draw the bolster underneath the sacrum. So take a moment to set up for this pose. So again, we're on the back, but it'll feel different now. The hips are raised. The knees could be bent or extended out fully with your feet resting on the blocks. Your wide open heart, arms. Your inward attention to all that is here. The flow of the breath. The reflections, the thoughts, the memories. Be present with whatever arises. Knowing that this human heart is big enough to hold it all. The joys, the sorrows, the gains, the losses. Lovely, everyone. Please gently now segue to our final pose. letting the bolster now come to rest your legs on, so push it down a bit. Settle your back. Draw the head pillow under. Get yourself settled and snugged in for this final part of our practice today, where I'm going to take you on a guided journey just in case you would like to use the wind phone. So I must tell you that I actually know somebody personally who used the wind phone, and the story was related to me by her mum. So this young woman had recently lost her dad, and she went on to a long hike, a long journey into nature to calm herself, to deal with her grief. But it was really difficult, and she was in the Grand Canyon, and she met another hiker. And she told her story about the loss of her dad and how sad she was. And this young man who met her said, "Oh, I know just what you need. Come with me. We're going to call him." And so Jess walks with the young man a little further down on the track, and dang me if there wasn't a real phone out there in the middle of nowhere. And he said, "Go on, pick up the receiver, call your dad." She looked at him like he's crazy. "Go on, I'll be over here." And he left her, and she made the phone call. And later she tells her mum, "Spoke to Dad. He's fine. He sounds just like his old self. He uses those same old phrases. He's okay where he is. And I actually spoke to him, and I feel so much better." I was very surprised to hear this story, because it was so out of the blue, and I'd never heard of the wind phone. So I looked up the wind phone and found what I've shared with you today. And so now, as you settle in here and relax, I'm going to guide you. So you're resting on your back, and your breath is natural and easy. Invite yourself now to see yourself in a beautiful cathedral of forest. Old growth trees towering above you. Rays of sunlight pouring through the trees, creating these shafts of illumination. As you follow the trail, you can smell the pines. It's a little damp, and the trees have raindrops on them, and the sun turns them into little diamonds. And you can smell the dampness of the forest. The ground is soft to walk on. And as you listen and listen, you can hear little creatures, birds, a squirrel rustling. And it's beautiful, but you are looking for that phone. And so as you walk between the trees, looking this way and that, you suddenly see it. This old funky phone nailed on a piece of wood and attached to this beautiful, beautiful tree. And as you approach the phone, you look in amazement. Should I? Should I not? Who should I call? What will I say? What's in my heart to say? And should you wish, you now take the handset, hold it to your ear, and with your other hand, dial the number. You remember the number. Dial it on that rotary dial. And say, hello. Your conversation, your words from your heart, what wants to be said. You are connected. Reaching across the veil, saying what you want to say, perhaps remembering the voice, perhaps you hear nothing, but you are connected. Feel that connection. Time to say goodbye again. As you are ready, hanging up the phone, sitting down at the base of the tree with your back against the tree. Feel the forest ground and this great big tree. It stood here for hundreds of years, rooted so deeply in this earth and reaching so high into the great beyond. Sensing the ground beneath you. Sensing again your body on the mat. Sensing that you are here and you're private sanctuary, practicing restorative yoga, having gone beyond the thin veil for a brief moment to know that you can do it any time. Feeling again your own breath. How it is okay to go on, to live this life with great courage. More strength in your body, greater courage in your heart, and more deeply connected to the one who went through the veil. And let yourself rest in that knowing. To know that we're actually a day or two ahead, and that the veil will continue over the next day, 2, 3, be very, very thin, so you can do it again. We complete our time together now, moving your toes, moving your fingers. Give yourself a little hug. Roll over to one side and just let yourself drench in gratitude. So when you look again at the sky, or a bird, or a sunset, or a sunrise, you are connected. We are all connected. Come on up to sit. We'll take a lovely big, stretchy, wide open arms. Inhale and return to your heart. So grateful to have this time with you. Namaste.